and final season of the BCS, Florida State Auburn to Team of Destiny.
So it is set. Auburn and Florida State playing for the BCS National Championship at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena Monday, January 6th on ESPN. There is no debate. There is nobody saying that one of these teams should not be in, thanks in large part to Michigan State's win in the Big Ten Championship game Saturday night in Indianapolis over Ohio State. Here are your 5 BCS Bowl games. The Rose Bowl does give you your Pac-12 champ and your Big Ten champ, as they always dream of it doing. Your Fiesta Bowl, you go Baylor out of the Big 12 against UCF, who won the American. Sugar Bowl, a couple of at-large teams, but a very sexy matchup there with Oklahoma and Alabama, and the Orange Bowl. A couple of runners-up as well. Clemson, well, one runner-up there with Ohio State, and then Clemson getting in out of the ACC, all leading into the national championship game there between Florida State and Auburn. Welcome in to College Football Daily. Dari Noka, Kevin Carter, Tom Luganbill, and Paul Feinbaum. And we'll start it up with the #1 team in the country. And I think it's hard to debate that they shouldn't be the #1 team. It's Florida State. They ran the table. They were dominant as they should have been in Charlotte against Duke on Saturday night. Jameis Winston, 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards of offense now. What do we take away from a game that they were supposed to win in or out and did win in or out?
The same thing we've taken all season, that FSU is one of the most dominant teams, but they're doing it in a fashion that supports what they're doing. I mean, it's not just, the strength of schedule is a little bit in question, but the way they're winning their games and how they're beating people is more than enough to land them in the national championship game.
What I take away from that game is that each and every time Florida State's been in a competition with a team that is so inferior to them athletically, they've never played like that team. They've never had that moment like in Ohio.
Boston College.
Yeah, Boston College is a bowl team.
That's a bowl, but you're right.
They're a bowl team. Ohio State gives up 35 to Illinois. So they never had that moment. It was complete and utter dominance. They torched the field in all 3 phases of the game the entire year, including this game. They knew they couldn't go out and afford to look bad here, and they didn't all year long.
What's your take on Florida?
I really like what they have done all year, but I still have a feeling at the pit of my stomach that they haven't played anyone.
Where's their weakness, though, in watching them?
Well, you can't find one other than the schedule.
Right.
And that's not fair to them, but it still makes me...
How about not being taken to the limit, not having that overtime-type game that comes down to the wire in the fourth quarter, not having that
team that runs the table, that hasn't really played anyone, and gets to the tournament and goes into shock.
Now, I'm going to say this, because I broadcasted the Florida State game with our crew. And in the first half of that game, Florida defensively gave them all they could handle. The problem was they couldn't answer with anything on offense to score points and put them out of their comfort level. So Florida State just continued to weather the storm. That was the first glimpse I saw of a team in Florida State that up front was a bit frustrated. They were off center a little bit. They had to call some timeouts when they were backed up. They were just discombobulated. But they weren't threatened offensively. That's not going to be the case this time around. They will be.
They will be. And their defense is very good. I mean, it's first nationally, statistically, in total defense. Maybe some of that goes back to the schedule you're talking about. Midway through the 3rd quarter Saturday night, Duke had not reached 100 yards of offense. I realize Duke is not Auburn, but Duke is not a bad offensive football team, and they do things a variety of ways, and Florida State had an answer for everything they tried to do. And when you have a LaMarcus Joyner who can take away your best threat, which he did with Jamison Crowder, that makes it very difficult for an offense. But, again, different offense in Auburn.
Exactly.
It is a different offense in Auburn.
It's a different offense. And nobody's been able to stop their run anyway. Well, Missouri was a top 10 team in rush defense coming into that game. Gave up 545 on the ground.
I thought Missouri played really well giving up 59 points.
They looked good doing it. All right, but again, I liken it to the 3 days of preparation that you have to prepare for maybe an Oregon, that you had to prepare for a Georgia Tech or a Navy. You want those games either to start the season or in a bowl game, because 4 weeks to prepare for that, I think, benefits Florida State to some degree, because they won't be outmanned athletically. In fact, there are going to be some advantages that Florida State will have that will supersede some of Auburn's. So that layoff there, I think, it may be a little bit of a benefit for Florida State.
It definitely benefits them from a defensive standpoint, and it's because the option fragments you. It fragments you and your responsibility. You don't know where the ball is going, and you have to be disciplined, and you have to tackle well when you're fragmented, basically, and you can't worry about what's going on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And that's what's going to help them, because they're going to come up with a plan. Jeremy Pruitt, the defense coordinator, will take a page out of Nick Saban's loss to Auburn and find a way to utilize it.
I had someone call me today and say, you think Jeremy Pruitt will call his buddy Kirby Smart? And I go, why would you call Kirby Smart trying to figure out a way to stop Auburn?
That's a good point, yeah, because he did.
Monday morning